Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into something kind of crazy?
Always.
Today we're going to be looking at how we understand time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and get this, we've got a YouTube video called Perception of Time with the hourglass emoji.
Future.
And we've also got a bunch of study guides and articles about it too.
Cool.
We're going to try to figure out some pretty wild questions like, would we even get the idea of time if nobody taught it to us?
It's a good one.
Like it just built into our brains or what?
Right. Or is it something we learn from our culture and stuff?
Good point.
And then there's that whole debate about whether time creates reality.
Oh yeah, that one's a head scratcher.
Totally.
Mm.
Or if maybe it's our perception of time that shapes what's real?
Whoa.
And then there's also this idea that keeps popping up that the past repeats itself.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Is that just a saying or is there something deeper going on?
Right. And then get this.
Yeah.
The YouTube video even suggests that we could be moving into the past and the future at the same time.
Okay, now that one is seriously mind-blowing.
I know, right? Okay, so let's start with that first question about whether our understanding of time is built in or learned.
Okay, sounds good.
The YouTube video really throws this one out there. Would we even perceive time if nobody ever told us about it?
It makes you wonder, right?
Yeah, do babies have any concept of time before we teach them about seconds and minutes and stuff?
It kind of seems like maybe not.
Maybe it's more like we kind of build our understanding of time as we grow up and learn about the world.
Right, maybe it's all about culture and the way our society measures and talks about time.
So you're saying different cultures might actually perceive time in totally different ways?
Yeah, exactly. Some cultures might see time as a circle, repeating over and over,
Oh, interesting.
while others might see it as a straight line, going from past to present to future.
So it's not really universal then?
Maybe not in the way we usually think of it. It's definitely shaped by where and how we grow up.
Wow. Okay, that's already blowing my mind a little bit. But then the sources throw this other big question at us. Does time create reality, or does reality create time?
It's like the chicken and egg thing, right?
Totally. Which one comes first?
Yeah, if time is calling the shots, if it's shaping everything that happens,
It's like Puppet Master.
right, then that means it has a huge impact on our lives. Everything is kind of predetermined in a way.
That's a bit scary to think about.
It is, but then what if it's the other way around? What if it's our minds, our perception of time that's actually creating reality?
Whoa. Okay, now that's even weirder.
Right, maybe we have more power than we think.
But then does that mean everyone's reality is different?
That's a good question. It definitely gets kind of complicated when you start thinking about it like that.
So is time the main thing, the independent variable?
The cause?
Yeah, the cause in reality is just the effect? Or is it the other way around?
Honestly, the sources don't really have a clear answer.
They're just as confused as we are.
Pretty much. But just thinking about the question, it forces us to really examine what we believe about time and how it works.
Yeah, it definitely makes you think, okay, so we got to talk about that whole the past repeats itself thing.
Ooh, yeah, good one.
Because that's something the YouTube video and one of the study guides bring up.
It's is time a straight line or is it more like a circle or something?
Right. Is history just going to keep repeating itself over and over again?
Some people definitely believe that. And the study guide even says that by repeating the past, we can actually create meaning in our lives.
Really? How does that work?
Well, recognizing patterns, learning from our mistakes, and even drawing strength from things we've done well in the past.
That kind of makes sense, I guess.
It's yeah, time keeps moving forward, but there's also this rhythm to it, these cycles that we can learn from.
So it's not all random chaos.
Maybe not.
Right.
But then you've got things like Einstein's theory of relativity, that the study guys mention.
Yeah, I've heard of that, but physics isn't really my thing.
Basically, it suggests that time isn't a constant, that it can be affected by gravity and speed.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, so even science is telling us that time is way more complicated than we might think.
Okay, my brain is officially starting to hurt. But we've got to tackle this one last crazy idea from the YouTube video. The possibility that we might be moving into the past, AD the future, at the same time.
All right, buckle up. This one is a wild ride.
I'm ready. So, how is that even possible?
Well, it really throws a wrench into that whole idea of time as a straight line?
Yeah, if we can travel in both directions.
Right. It makes you wonder about, cause and effect and free will and if any of it even matters.
Whoa, deep thoughts.
The sources don't really give us any solid answers, but they do bring up this concept called eternalism.
Eternalism, what's that?
It's this idea that all points in time, past, present, future, they all exist at the same time.
Like all at once.
Yeah, it's like imagine a giant cosmic library where every moment that ever happened or will happen is a book on a shelf.
Whoa. Okay, I'm trying to picture that.
And with eternalism, all those books already exist. We're just experiencing them one page at a time.
So it's not that time is flowing or moving forward, it's just we're moving through it.
Exactly. And that really makes you think about choice, destiny, like what's already set in stone and what we have control over.
Okay, that one is definitely going to take some time to process.
I hear ya. It's a lot to take in.
It really is. But hey, we're just getting started. There's a whole lot more to explore when it comes to time perception.
Oh, yeah. We've only just scratched the surface.
All right, so we're back, and my brain is still kind of buzzing from all that time talk.
It's a lot to process, for sure.
It is. But I'm ready for more. What's next on our time travel agenda?
Well, we were talking about eternalism before the break.
Oh, yeah, the whole cosmic library thing where every moment in time already exists.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting when you start thinking about how it messes with our usual ideas of cause and effect.
Oh, right. Cause and
No.
effect, like one thing leads to another.
Yeah, but if every moment is already out there, then does one thing really cause another, or is it more complicated than that?
It's like if the future is already written, then do our choices really matter?
It's a big question, and honestly, I don't know if there's a simple answer.
I guess that's why we're having this deep dive, right?
Yeah.
To explore these questions and try to make some sense of it all.
Exactly. And even if we don't come up with all the answers, it's good to just think about these things, challenge our assumptions.
For sure. So how does eternalism change how we think about cause and effect?
Well, think of it this way. Instead of a straight line where A causes B, which causes C,
Yeah, that's how I usually picture it.
what if it's more like a giant tapestry? All these threads woven together, each thread representing a moment in time.
Okay, I can see that.
And each thread is connected to so many others, influencing and being influenced by them.
So it's all interconnected.
Exactly. So it's not just one thing causing another in a simple way. It's more like this complex web of relationships between all these different moments.
Whoa, that's a lot to wrap my head around.
It is. But it kind of makes sense when you think about how the past, present, and future all seem to influence each other in ways we don't always understand.
Yeah, like sometimes things happen that seem completely random, but then later you realize they were connected to something from your past.
Exactly. It's like those threads in the tapestry. You might not see the connection at first, but it's there.
This is making me think about that whole the past repeats itself thing again. Does eternalism kind of support that idea?
It definitely adds another layer to it. Like maybe those repeating patterns we see aren't just coincidences, but reflections of this deeper interconnectedness of time.
So it's not just that history repeats itself, but that everything is kind of repeating and echoing throughout time.
That's one way to think about it. And it really makes you wonder about fate and free will, doesn't it?
Yeah, like if everything is already out there in that cosmic library, do our choices really matter?
That's a question that philosophers have been debating for centuries. And honestly, I don't think there's a definitive answer.
But eternalism definitely makes it harder to believe in free will.
Yeah. It challenges us to think about it in a different way, that's for sure. Like maybe instead of thinking about creating something entirely new with our choices, we're actually navigating within a set of possibilities that already exist.
Okay, I think I get what you're saying.
It's like imagine you're on a train. The tracks are already laid out. You can't really change the direction the train is going.
But you can choose where to sit on the train.
Right. You can choose who you talk to, what you look at out the window, whether you read a book or take a nap. Those choices are still up to you.
So it's like the big picture might be predetermined, but we still have some freedom within that.
Exactly. And even those seemingly small choices can have a ripple effect, They can influence the people around you. They can change your own experiences. And who knows, maybe they even have an impact on the tapestry of time itself.
Okay, that's a much less scary way to think about it. So we're not just puppets on strings, even if eternalism is true.
I don't think so. It's more like we're co-creators with time, playing our parts in this grand unfolding of the universe.
That's actually a really beautiful way to look at it. It makes me feel like I have more agency, even if I'm not fully in control.
And that's the thing about time perception, isn't it? The more we learn about it, the more we realize how much we don't know and how much our own perspectives shape our experience of it.
Totally. It's like time is this giant mirror
Yeah.
reflecting back to us our own beliefs, fears, and hopes.
And the way we choose to relate to time says a lot about how we're choosing to live our lives.
That's deep. Okay, I need a moment to process all of that.
Take your time. Time is, after all, what we make of it.
You know, it's funny. Earlier, I said time was like wibbly-wobbly stuff.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I remember.
But now I'm starting to think it's more like a mirror.
Oh, how so?
Well, it shows us who we are. Like, if we're always rushing and stressed about time.
Always trying to squeeze in more and more.
Exactly. Maybe that says something about our priorities and how we're choosing to live.
That's a really interesting point. It's like maybe we need to stop trying to control time so much.
And just like be more present in each moment.
Yeah, appreciate the journey, not just the destination.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm definitely feeling inspired to be more mindful of my relationship with time. But all this talk of eternalism and cosmic libraries is making my head spin a bit.
I feel that. It's a lot to take in.
Can we bring it back down to earth for a moment?
Absolutely. How about we shift gears and talk about something a little more concrete, like how different cultures around the world actually experience time?
Ooh, that sounds fascinating. Let's travel the world through the lens of time. All right, so we're back. And I gotta say, this whole time perception thing is really making me think about how different cultures see time.
Yeah, it's super interesting.
Like the sources we were looking at, they talk about how some cultures view time as a spiral.
Oh, yeah, where like the past and present and future are all connected.
Right. And they're all constantly influencing each other. It's not just a straight line.
Exactly. And like for some indigenous cultures, the spiral view of time leads to a deep respect for their ancestors
Oh, wow. That makes sense.
because their ancestors are like right there in the spiral with them, still shaping their present and future.
And it probably makes them think about the impact their actions will have on future generations, too.
Totally. It's like a chain of responsibility stretching through time.
It's such a different way of looking at things than like our Western culture where it's all about progress and moving forward
Yeah, we tend to be pretty focused on the individual and the present moment.
and getting things done quickly.
Right. Like efficiency is the name of the game.
But maybe we're missing out on something by constantly rushing and trying to control time.
It's like, what if we could slow down time a little bit, you know? Savor those moments instead of letting them fly by.
Yeah, but is that even possible? Can we actually change how we experience time?
Well, the sources actually suggest some ways we can try to shift our perception.
Really? Tell me more.
One big thing is mindfulness, like really being present in each moment instead of constantly thinking about the past or worrying about the future.
Okay, yeah, I've heard about mindfulness, but I've never really tried it.
It's like when you're fully engaged in whatever you're doing, time seems to slow down.
Because you're not distracted by all those other thoughts swirling around in your head.
Exactly. And there's even scientific evidence that mindfulness can actually change how your brain experiences time.
Wow, so it's not just some like hippy-dippy idea.
Nope. It's the real deal.
Okay, I'm sold. I'm adding mindfulness to my to-do list. What else can we do?
Well, another thing the sources talk about is focusing on experiences rather than material possessions.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like the joy of buying a new thing fades pretty quickly.
But the memories of a great trip or a special moment with loved ones can last a lifetime.
It's like investing in your time bank, not your stuff bank.
Exactly. And when you prioritize experiences, you're creating meaning and connection.
Which are way more valuable in the long run than any material thing
Right. And that shift in focus can actually make you feel like you have more time.
because you're not constantly chasing after the next thing.
You're savoring the moments you have.
This is all really making me see how much power we have over our own perception of time.
Yeah, it's not just this external force controlling us.
We can actually choose how we experience it.
And by making those choices, we can live more fully and create a richer life.
I love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into time perception,
What are your big takeaways?
I'm honestly feeling a sense of awe and empowerment.
That's all.
Awe at like the mystery and vastness of time.
Yeah, time is pretty wild.
But also empowered by the realization that we have a say in how we experience it.
We're not just passive passengers.
Right. We can actually shape our own journeys through time.
And that's a pretty amazing thing to realize.
It really is. So for everyone listening out there, I challenge you to pay attention to how you experience time in your own life.
Notice what makes it speed up, what makes it slow down.
And think about the choices you can make to create a more fulfilling relationship with time.
Because in the end, how we perceive time is a reflection of how we're choosing to live.
And when we become more conscious of that, we open ourselves up to a world of possibilities. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the mysteries of time perception.
It's been a pleasure exploring with you.
Until next time, keep wondering, keep questioning, and keep making the most of every precious moment.